Hello, this is Nathan, better known as CrazyhermitDM, and this is my podcast, The Hermit's Homebrew. Joining me today is Brent from Lane Mini Studios and Luke Gygax as we talk about Dungeons and Dragons and Gary Con. Joining us today is someone who was there at the conception of our hobby, our game, our community, who has actually stepped up to serve our country as well for over 30 years. And joining us today is Luke Gygax. We want to thank you for serving our country. I think I researched 30 years, and you actually made it to Lieutenant Colonel before the end.
That's right. Yeah. So, thank you very much. I appreciate the support. And I joined at 18 and I retired at 51. I did both active duty, reserve, and National Guard time during that 33-year period. But yeah, I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I enlisted in the infantry at 18, did 10 years as an enlisted infantryman, went through officer candidate school, and then branched transportation and became a logistics officer for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. I always find it weird with this podcast is growing, especially in the last 6 to 9 months, as I'm kind of interviewing more. We were interviewing Tim Cass, God rest his soul, about 6 weeks before he passed. And the weirdest thing is after TSR, he was saying, oh yeah, I was a boys and girls soccer coach. And so when I was researching you and found out, I knew you're enlisted and in the Army. I just did not realize you were a colonel.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it was, no one was more surprised than me, but yeah.
My dad did 20 years in the Air Force, and it was pretty much my entire life, all my formative years. So I remember the moving, I remember all of that. He was deployed a couple of times for Desert Storm, Desert Shield. That's about that time frame. So when it got to his 20, he was 20 and out. He was, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
They've already got 20 years of my life. I'm done. So going that far, I can only imagine.
In fairness, I had 10 years of reserve time. So I did 24 active. 24 active. And,
okay.
And the rest was some reserve time in the middle. But yeah, basically, if you stayed active duty the whole time with the old retirement system, as they say, you're working for half pay. But I would say it's more when the job stops being fun, then it's time to think about getting out. And it's very hard on families. So all the military families out there, my wife, my kids, they bore a lot of hardships while I was gone, or we had to move, or whatever the case may be, deployed for long periods of time. And so that's very stressful. So I completely understand anybody who serves even one tour.
Oh yeah.
Really hats off to them.
Yeah, anyone that even just does the basic 6-year contract.
Yeah.
My hat's off to them, because I got lucky when we were stationed in North Carolina. I made a lot of really good friends. My dad made a lot of really good friends, and the B2 program launched in Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. So he was apt to be one of the first crew chiefs for the B2 Stealth Bomber, and we were one of the opening families that went into Whiteman Air Force Base to launch the stealth program. And it was crazy that we kept on getting notices from the same people saying, hey, get the local area down for us because we're coming too. 6 or 7 friends of mine from North Carolina followed us to Missouri. So I got super lucky. I grew up
having that continuity of friends and things
keeping all that together. And it was still, in the officers and the enlisted worked really well together because they were starting up this program. And I remember my dad and his friend doing a welcome video to one of the pilots. And it was the joke that this Air Force base was out in the boonies, out in the sticks, and no one knows anything about it. So they were saying, oh, here's the great officer swimming pool. And it was the lagoon for the base and, stuff like that. Now, granted, it's 40 minutes outside of Kansas City. So if you wanted to go somewhere, you could. But it was just that type of environment. And I have a lot of positive memories of that. And my dad says he's happy for that. Because the last, like you said, when the job starts getting fun, and that's where it was. So getting to 20, I can only imagine 20 years. And even though you said you had time out, that's hats off to you, man.
Yeah, well, I'm a creature of habit, I guess. I keep doing things mostly So like I got a cell phone in 1999. That was my first cell phone. I've never
Oh,
changed the number or carrier.
how
So
have you
since
gotten away with that?
1999. I've threatened to go and I've gotten different plans, but
Oh,
I
okay.
started off with Sprint. Now I have T-Mobile because they were acquired, but I
Yeah,
never changed.
exactly.
Kept going. So I'm a
Okay.
creature habit, so
I've
it's just easier to stick with it. And then I
I've
finally said,
changed
okay,
my number
tired.
once, and that person, from what I've heard, because people have tried to call me, and the man who got my old number hates me because he received so many calls or texts. Tell anyone. I just let the people know that I wanted to know the new number.
Then you just ghosted everybody. Okay, so here's the
That's one way to
question.
get rid of people.
What
But
was your first cell phone?
oh geez, it was a
Nokia?
lollipop. Yeah, I think it was a Nokia like lollipop looking kind of thing. Yeah, with the antenna that you could pull up. Yeah,
Yep,
uh,
yep, yep. Sorry,
pretty
I
cool.
spoke over you. What were you saying?
I was just say one of the things that the military, you're moving around a lot, so gaming is a really
Mm,
great way to make friends, and so I've used that. I use that when I go to a new school as well. But same thing in the military, you could immediately make friends through gaming, and
Yeah.
then rapidly find a peer group, and not kind of have that adjustment phase where you're kind of months trying to figure out, you know, friends and stuff to do. You can within a week or two be playing games on the weekends, have a crew of friends, and have a good time. So
oh yeah.
gaming really is popular, I think, in the military for several reasons. Portable, you can immediately identify people that you have some commonalities with, that you share. You can speak to them about things and have common ground. And of course, the fact that you're often stuck in really boring, lonely spots with not much to do
Hurry up and
on
wait.
your off time, and it's a great way to fill in those gaps and have a good time.
They've even like back to the Middle Ages with the Vikings and the Romans, and they find old remnants of like game pieces and boards that they'd make.
Yeah.
The Vikings have, I cannot remember the name of their game, but it looks so interesting where you use actually all four sides of the board.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
That,
That's interesting.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me if you're kind of out there and once you've done your foraging and whatever it is, you got a little time to kill, so you throw some dice, play some games, whatever the case may be, tell stories, right?
yeah.
If you don't
Oh
have a
yeah.
skald around to tell stories, you're gonna have to
Hmm.
figure out something.
Did
Somebody who can play an instrument or sing.
Yeah. Oh,
did
I can't carry a tune.
so like you
No,
were part of the
not me.
military, and did like gaming become more prominent after you got out, or with the unfortunate
Oh,
but fortunate genesis of like Gary Con?
sure, yeah. So, like I said, my name was pretty recognizable. I enlisted in 1989.
Yeah.
So that would be a thing that people would ask me to be like, Gygax, any relation to Gary? I'm like, yeah, it's
Hmm.
my dad. They're like, no, you're bullshitting me. I'm like,
Like, okay.
yeah, I'm bullshitting you. You're the one who asked me. I don't have it. So really for me, growing up, so I love my dad very much. We gamed a lot sort of stuff. But as a young person, you often want to make your own way in life. You want to
Hmm.
Hmm.
forge
Yep.
forge your own way. And so for me, joining the military was a great way to step into a totally different role, identify myself,
Hmm.
and I found that structure and stuff was good for me, and I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy everything, but overall, I can reflect back and see how it was very good for me and it helped me out. Know who I was, know what my strengths were, shape my a lot of skills. But of course, gaming was something I continued to do throughout. It was not. It was coming off of obviously its height of popularity in the mid '80s, and then it kind of declined a bit. But yeah, I still played AD&D. I played Marvel superheroes, Champions, uh, Rifts, Top Secret, a ton of games with the guys at various spots. And when we're out in the field or doing it, I was a mechanized infantryman, so we'd go to like gunnery tables.
Oh.
So so you're basically out there on the line, and you do your fires, and you come back, and you might have to wait, you know, a day or two before you
Hmm.
could get back up there, you have to do zero to do your qualification, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Hmm.
And so there'd be some downtime. So, we'd play games when we weren't working on our equipment, stuff like that. And that was a great way to pass time and make friends. And really enjoyed that. Then, let's see, the resurgence of, well, fifth edition really saw a giant resurgence, right?
Yeah.
So it tapered off a bit. We had third edition 3.5 and the schism when they went to 4E, and a lot of people fell off of playing Dungeons and Dragons and migrated over to Pathfinder, or maybe stop gaming entirely, right? Because it just kind of lost its luster.
Yeah.
A lot of those people are probably in their 30s, starting families, busy work schedules. So sometimes it's really hard to keep a game together under those circumstances. And then Mike Mearls and the team there at Wizards did a really outstanding job.
They did.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, they were very deliberate about it. They looked at what was the best points of various editions in their mind, and they leaned heavily on AD&D as kind of as their route for like what they wanted the experience to be more like AD&D 1E2E, and that was what Mike Mearls was playing. His home game was still Advanced Dungeons and Dragons up until he started designing 5e. So he's like, yeah, I'm a fan of this, So let's
when you know what you like.
Let's incorporate these bits. But of course, what they did is they found, well, to make it more, to lower the barrier to entry, and they took out a lot of the uniqueness of certain classes, and they kind of gave everybody a longsword, right? So you have cantrips that you can throw over and over again, just like the fighter can throw the longsword. So you kind of smooth that power curve that you would see between a fighter and a magic user at 5th level, or they get fireball and their power curve took away a lot of that wonkiness that was in the older systems, smoothed it out. And then you had Matt Mercer and his guys, they've been playing for a long time, obviously, but then they were streaming it, they're voice actors, they're entertaining.
Yeah.
And that was the right moment, right? Where people were watching this sort of stuff. Then you have people who grew up in the 80s and D&D was important to them, really hitting their creative strides, getting to be, like your Duffer Brothers and these sorts of folks. And so you see, oh, yeah, I remember Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, if you think about it, the younger audience had been exposed to fantasy a lot more than the children of the 80s. So in the 80s, when you're watching TV, what was on in the 70s? Cop shows.
Yep.
PI shows. Cowboys.
Yeah, like Magnum PI, Dragnets.
Yeah, Columbo was in the
Columbo,
70s,
there you
right?
go. That's a good, yep.
Yeah, right? So you have all those sorts of things going on, but you had novels, and there was The Hobbit that kind of made this big comeback in the 70s as well, and The Lord of the Rings. But you had Sinbad movies and things like that, but they were not the highest quality productions, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was your dad's original big inspiration. Sorry to interrupt, but it was Jack Vance and those novels, and like the Conans and like
100%.
Yeah.
So here's something that seems really obvious if you didn't know it, and then somebody says it, but Vecna is an anagram of Vance. As a shout out to Jack Vance.
Yep.
So that was one of my dad's favorite authors, and kind of funny what a small world it is. I worked to do the Tomb of Gygax just in 2024 with GUI Cube, but great small company. It's a 5e product.
My copy comes in 2 days.
Yeah,
it should be on the way. Thank you for backing it. And
absolutely,
Evil is going to be launched in this year in 26. Of course, we got set back about 6 months with the tariff craziness.
All that mess.
That's actually the first time you and me interact, sharing the links and all that. You thanked me and all that, and I'm like, no problem whatsoever.
So much. No, they're an awesome company, and of course, Elphinius Gu, who runs it, it's not his real name, but he went to school with a guy named John Vance, and he would go over to his house and just be like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Vance, how's it going?" Whatever, and they'd be doing their own things. Later, after he gets out of school, he realizes
who that was.
That was Jack Vance. John Vance was his kid. And so he met Jack Vance and never bothered to sit and talk to him about book stuff because it's just not what he didn't know. So small world, right? But Vance was huge. Roger Zelazny, Paul Anderson, certainly The Hobbit more so than The Lord of the Rings. But there's obviously the whole Appendix N. There's lots of great stuff in there that influenced my dad. But now people who grew up playing D&D were doing stuff like, Game of Thrones, etc. And of course, Magic the Gathering, right? That's successful. It's accessible to younger people. It's really fantasy and spells, and so all these, it's really very common now. So when you brought a game out, like a Dungeons and Dragons, it's being referenced in media, you can watch and see how it's played, as opposed to looking at a 300-page book and going, "Oh my God, I have to read this book." No, you don't. If you've never played D&D and you're watching this, You do not have to open up the book and read any of that stuff. You can really just watch and figure it out. And if you're with a group of people, just pick it up and say, okay, what do I need to do? Write it down. You played cops and robbers, or you played pretend before. You're doing that, and you're rolling dice. When you say, I shoot you, okay, great. You're going to shoot me? Great. You need a 12 or higher to hit. Roll this die. Okay, you hit or miss. Now what do? What's the results? Very simple concept. Of course, can get more complex as you progress, and you can do more with it. But at its base, very, very simple. People love stories. We love to tell stories. We love to be entertained. Books, movies, poems, songs, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And with D&D, you get to be the protagonist or one of the protagonists. And so I think that's especially powerful. And that's why it will appeal and continue to appeal to people, I think, as long as it exists.
Your dad had like a very famous quote of saying, once they figure out they don't need the books, we're kind of screwed anyways.
I love that quote. Yeah, I love it.
Yep. Yeah, because it really, I mean, I did it in Desert Storm. So I was in Desert Storm as well. I was just a kid,
Okay.
but
yeah, my dad was in his late 30s, so
yeah, I was 19.
oh wow.
But I was infantryman, so we could just go with our rucksack and a duffel bag full of gear, right? We weren't allowed to bring extra books and stuff. We had to weigh it all out because we went military lift and all that. So we didn't have any books. So I just made up I found some 6-sided dice at like a post exchange, a tent in the middle of the desert.
A BX, yeah.
Yeah, where they had some beef jerky and some cards. They had 6-sided dice. So I bought 6-sided dice and I made a 6-sided game system about being like an urban gang member for something. I can't remember what it was, but I made notes in my little green notebook.
Yeah, they could fit in your pocket pretty much.
It fit in my pocket, yep.
Yeah.
my buddy could draw. So Todd Emerson, we took a MRE box, has a pretty stiff outer band on it.
Yeah.
And if you just cut that open, it's pretty flat like a board. So he made like a board game and drew like all the cool stuff. So it was a Special Forces board game, but it was humorous, but we'll leave it at that. But yeah, so we had to find stuff to entertain ourselves. And you really don't need the books if you know how to role play. And generally, you can make up some rules pretty quickly, and you can do it yourself if you want to.
So with 20 years of playing TTRPGs, I can safely say I've never read a core rule book cover to cover. Yeah. Never happened.
Yeah, I would probably fall asleep. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So was it you became more of a prominent member with our community with Gary Con and getting out of the military?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I always helped my dad. So growing up, I play tested things. My dad ran ideas, bounce ideas off of me, or we'd come up with a monster idea or a spell idea. And I think a lot of people do that with their DMs, right?
Yeah.
My DM just happened to be the guy who created the game, so it would get published into game, right? So that was pretty cool. And I was exposed to the creative process a lot more than I realized. Got a lot of reps in, by the age of 12 or whatever. But I never really thought of myself as some sort of, not a game designer or any of that sort of stuff. I just play games. And I enjoyed playing games. I did a little bit of writing. Still, I was in college. So got out of the Army and went to college. And my older brother, Ernie, was running oh my gosh, I forgot, the Game Guild, that's what it was called. It was Margaret Weiss's hobby shop in Lake Geneva, the Game Guild. And so I'd go there and play D&D with my brother in his old hobby shop dungeon that he'd made in the 70s that I'd played as a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was still running that. And Margaret was like, hey, this new edition, 3rd edition is out. So we need to run a new game system. Or we need to run the campaign there for the customers coming in. My brother's like, well, I don't want to learn 3rd edition. Hey, Luke, why don't you learn 3rd edition and run it? I was like, okay, yeah, I'll run it. And then he's like, well, if we're going to run something, we may as well publish it. So let's come up with an idea. So we did. We came up with the Lost City of Gaxmore. We designed that in about 2000, I think.
Okay.
That was when we did that, 2000, 2001. And put it out through Troll Lord Games. But it came out of our weekly session that I'd run at the Game Guild. It was a lot of fun. Then I went back active duty in 2005. I got mobilized for something, and I was like, you know what? I may as well just stick around. I may as well stick around and retire. So I went.
Since I'm here.
I'm here. I'm in uniform. It's kind of fun. I like this. It's not so bad.
Yeah.
And so then 2005, I went back active. And in 2000, and I stayed involved, but as a busy, lieutenant and captain, and I was in recruiting command for a while, so it's really pretty hectic. But I'd stay in touch with my dad. He's my best friend. I'd go visit him, and we still chatted, a couple times a week about all sorts of things. And he was sick. He'd had a couple mini strokes. He's having some cardiovascular disease and things like that. Why? Not enough exercise, poor eating habits, smoking since he was a young man, 2 packs of Camel unfiltered. So bad idea.
The generation that
health
basically
yeah.
kind of bred that type of
both my parents smoked forever. Yeah.
Yeah, and very, very, very harmful. So he had what's called a triple A aortic aneurysm, arterial. Well, anyway, so and it was operable, but he chose not to get it operated on, for personal reasons. And it caught up with him. It got him in March 4th of 2008. He passed away. It's something. If you have your parents, if you're lucky enough to have your parents still, make sure to give them a call. Tell them how you feel. Go visit them while you can, because that is a really life-changing moment when you lose a parent, or it was for me anyway. And so that struck me very hard. And we went to, obviously went back to, I was out in California, went to Lake Geneva, helped plan the funeral. And during that time, there was this great outpouring of people saying, I didn't know Gary personally, but it felt like I lost an uncle. This was somebody who, really affected my development as a teen. I found this game. It was this expression. Because of it, I overcame this challenge. I dealt with this hardship. And now on the other side, I am this strong person. And I have a lot to attribute to the game Dungeons and Dragons for helping me develop life skills, perseverance, or just the support network that I needed to get through that. And I knew my dad was a great game designer and that was revolutionary in that. What I didn't realize is how impactful it was to people all around the world.
No, he was very interactive with everyone. Would secondhand see these interactions with the people that obviously, because he couldn't reach out to everybody. But I mean, when you get even that secondhand interaction, and he's imparting those decades of wisdom, because he was a blue collar guy. I believe he was a cobbler when he first initially invented D&D. And it's just kind of amazing to see this kind of still went through all this and still kind of down to earth on the other end of it.
Yeah, he just thought, hey, I'm a gamer who was lucky enough to create this cool thing that people like, but it's not like I don't. I put my pants on one leg at a time, etc. So I think he was proud of his accomplishments, but like you said, I don't think he let it change how he looked at himself, especially. But I certainly had no idea that it was that impactful. And some people said, we are going to drive to Lake Geneva, like from New York or wherever they're at, to pay our respects. And I was like, oh man, we're just having a small private funeral. What can we do? And so I had fond memories of small conventions at the American Legion Hall that were called like Winter Fantasy or Spring Revel. There's a few hundred people. And I was, anywhere between probably 5 and 8 years old when these were going on. And I could go up to a table and be like, hey, what are you guys playing? Whether it's a board game, role playing, or whatever. And people are like, oh yeah, come on, sit down, kid. I will teach you how to play. It was very warm and welcoming, right? So that's my experiences of the gaming community. I really loved that. So I just said, well, let's have essentially a wake gathering, a memorial service at the American Legion Hall for those who aren't, close friends and family. You can come to this, just show up. We'll play the D&D cartoon, the Futurama episode my dad was on. We'll have a podium up there, and you can say a few words, and people will play games. My brothers and sisters brought dishes to pass, and we had the bar open at the American Legion Hall. Nice. And so we did. Probably 150, 200 people showed up and shared their stories and shared camaraderie around the table, swapped stories about my dad, and it was a really good time. And at the towards the end, I think it was Harold Johnson came up and said, hey, Luke, this was great. You should do it again next year. And I was talking to Jolly Blackburn, and Jolly said, yeah, you can call it Gary Con. I had no idea. Jolly Blackburn writes Knights of the Dinner Table.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's
and so
good friends with like Jim Wampler and all that as well, who was actually on our podcast last month or 2 months ago now at this point.
Yep, that's how I met Jim Wampler is at Gary Con as well in the early days through Tim Task. But Jolly said, you can call it Gary Con. They have a character in the magazine or in their comic called Gary Jackson, which is a cross between Steve Jackson and my dad, Gary Gygax, right? And he runs Hard 8 Games. And their Gen Con is a convention called Gary Con. Yeah. I didn't know any of that at the time, but I said, Gary Con, what a great idea. And they spell GaryCon connected, like one word. Mine is two
Oh.
words. So that's the
Okay.
difference. So he said, yeah, of course you can use the name GaryCon. So the next year I just threw a gathering. There was no pre-registering for games. There was no charge for a badge. I just figured I'd spend a couple $1,000 and invite people to come and have a good time and play games. And I think somebody was keeping track. I think we had 178 people showed up. There was no advertisers posted on forums and Facebook and whatever. 178 people showed up, and some of them, especially Jolly and Kenzer and Company, brought a van full of products, and they dropped it off, and they said, "Hey, ask for donations when people come in, and then give them some of these books." I was like, "Okay, that's cool." So I was like, "Hey, $20 if you want, you get these 3 books or whatever it was." So we raised enough money to pretty close offset my expenditures. I was like, "Wow, that's incredibly generous. How awesome is that?" And then I think Tim Cast and Mike Carr, or maybe even Frank Menzer, at 5 o'clock said, "Hey, let's do a little auction." And so they stood up on top of a chair and they're in silence gaming and auctioned off stuff from their bags, or Jolly drew something or whatever. And they raised, and I ended up with $400 more than I had spent.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, well, I don't feel like I can put this in my pocket. So I started a company to run a convention every year, and would just put the money back in every year, because I didn't at that time I was thought, well, this, in honor of my dad, I'm not, this is all just goes back into itself. And I did that for, I don't know, 9 years or whatever it was, 8 years. Yeah. I think I started paying my expenses at like 7 or something like that, my flight out and stuff like that. But otherwise it just all went back into the company, and it just kind of naturally grew, and people really enjoyed it. And I tried to foster the spirit of openness and welcoming and playing games. So GaryCon, we still do this today. You buy a badge, and then you register for as many events as you want. You can't overlap events, so you can't register for 3 events in the same time slot, because that's just wasteful. But there's a few events that charge per, but it's like probably 99% are included with your badge. And furthermore, when you're walking around the convention, we have like little pizza stands in the middle, and they have either a green card or a red card. And if it's a green card, it means the game's about to begin or just beginning. We can accept new players. We have a seat open. Red means we're full, or we're at a point where we can no longer accept free people. But the whole idea is that you just go and you see a green card, say, "Hey, what are you playing? Can I hop in? Yes, here's your pre-gen. Let's go." Because I see an empty seat as a wasted opportunity.
Exactly.
For playing games and making friends. And so that kind of permeates GaryCon, and everybody is equal footing. All sorts of people come to GaryCon, but at heart, they're all gamers. So I don't care if it's, Vince Vaughn or Joe Manganiello or a famous writer or whatever, or just a guy who delivers, water, to places. We're all gamers, and we're all there to hang out and have a good time. And that's what it's about. And people have seemed to truly enjoy that and carried on that spirit, even though this year, we started off with about 175 people. This year we're close to 4,000 people, which
nice,
which is a lot for a town. Lake Geneva has about 7,500 people as a population.
Oh wow!
So, yeah,
we're doubling the size of the town almost.
Yeah, now it's a resort town, so in the summertime it swells up to probably 15,000, 20,000 people, right? So there's some resorts there, but we fill up the resort, the Grand Geneva Resort. It's a beautiful resort. It's the nicest resort in Lake Geneva. It was formerly originally built as a Playboy Club in 1967, I think, and it's a Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. If you're familiar with that, style,
Art Deco.
Yep. Yeah, and so it's kind of a rustic. It's rustic kind of lodge feeling, with lots of stairs for sub-levels and stuff, which makes it very hard if you have like mobility challenges. That is very challenging. But it's an old building, like I said, and it was the site of Gen Con 10, because it was the biggest conference space in Lake Geneva. Now they only did that there 1 year because a lot of parents were not happy with dropping their 14 and 15-year-old kids off. They're like, what is this place? Oh, heck no, you're not going there.
It's not.
Yeah, no, because it was the 70s, right? It was a very different time. But then it moved to Racine, to UW, Parkside. UW Parkside is where it moved to, and then up to the Mecca Center in Milwaukee. But anyway, so through GaryCon, I just threw that gathering every year, and just more and more people came through word of mouth, and it developed various traditions, and we've gotten more and more polished and professional as each year has progressed, and that's thankful. I'm very thankful for a very strong core of volunteers and staff members who work year round with my wife and I and my kids to really make this a special event. It's grown to encompass memorializing not just my father, but for all the folks who've made an impact in the community. We honor, since GaryCon 8, I created an award called the Gary Gygax Lifetime Achievement Award, and we present it to somebody who's made an impact in the field. 2 years ago, it was Mike Pondsmith from Artel Saurian Games. Great guy. Obviously, Cyberpunk is
maker Cyberpunk.
Yeah, the people know. Really nice guy, and been active since the 80s. He's been in game design since the 80s. He's a great, really, really nice guy. And then last year, we honored our first posthumous awardee with Greg Stafford, who is the creator of Chaosium just because it was their 50th anniversary, and I said, you know what, from having played the game systems and seen them, what Chaosium had done since really 75, was it? That they were publishing really early in the space.
I want to say Call of Cthulhu, like back in the day, was
that
probably
was in 80, 81,
one of the bigger titles even back then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But RuneQuest is the big one.
The big one.
Yeah, that was the other game system that people played that was different than D&D. That wasn't level based. It was kind of a skill based and percentage based and that sort of thing. So it was different. I've gotten to know the current owners of Chaosium, who are just huge fans of everything that Greg did. And so, from reading and from talking to them and seeing some of the original works that he did and hearing some of those stories, I was like, this guy, of course, he knew my dad too. They were, contemporaries, was very deserving. And so this year we've got somebody, we've got the statue all lined up, and I can't wait to present it to this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, thank you to inviting me to as well with the press badge and all that. Was very nice.
It's great. This year is going to be fantastic. We've got some special announcements coming. Our signature sponsor is Wizards of the Coast. As you know, they have a new senior VP of Dungeons and Dragons in there, Danny Youb, who I think has some really great ideas on how to take D&D forward into the next phase, reconnect at the grassroots with players, which I think it's safe to say they got away from a little bit. I think that's
I kind of lost the plot a little. Yeah,
it's a community consensus.
I don't think I'm out in the hinterlands by having that position. I think folks recognize that too, and so they want to reconnect with folks, figure out how to make great games that appeal to everybody, and let you play the game. And I was like, you know what, that sounds fantastic, and so I'm really looking forward to working alongside those guys a little bit and being able to continue, my dad's legacy, maybe in some official D&D products. So that'd be outstanding. So we'll see what the future holds here, but it's an interesting time.
So like from GaryCon 1 to I think 17 now?
We're on 18 this year.
18? Dang. 18th birthday. Congratulations. That's a big one.
Yeah, that's right. Can I buy cigarettes anymore as a Gary? I don't think so.
I guess the can.
That's about as good as it
Can't
gets.
drink, but can vote.
No drink.
Unless you're European. But like, how has it grown from like 1 to 18 now in ways that you didn't even expect it? Obviously, what you just stated is like you expected it to be this kind of little hall type memorial thing, and now it's an official big con. It's like probably one of the top 5, I think, in our community.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly unique, and I think what it offers is an opportunity. Well, the focus at GaryCon is on gaming. That's never changed. Yes, we have a vendor hall. That's great. It's open from 10 to 5. That's it. Why is it open from 10 to 5? And others open from like 9 to 7 or whatever it is. Because the vendors who come there want to play games. So they appreciate, they're like, no, don't extend it. 5 o'clock is great. I can get off, have some dinner, and I can go play a game at night. I don't have to be back to work so early. I can stay out and have a beer with my buddies, talk till midnight or whatever it is, get a night's sleep, and go work the booth. And so GaryCon is fun. It's my convention. I want to have fun there. Awesome, right? Um, it's small enough. Even we really have kept that feeling of camaraderie and family on purpose. I don't want it to be cold and antiseptic. I want the focus to be on having a good time and making friends. If you come to GaryCon and you don't know anybody, I guarantee by the end, you will have made at least one friend, if not many, that you'll stay in touch with throughout the year. I've heard the story numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important, is you keep that spirit of community alive at GaryCon. And it's a family run business. My wife and my kids are at the center of it. We all work on it year round, and it's something that we love. It's continuing a legacy that we're very proud to be a part of. And there was something important I was going to say, and I managed to I managed to lose it. But how has it changed? We've really developed a lot of fun traditions, and I've gotten to reconnect with a lot of folks that I knew as a boy.
Yeah.
And I've got to meet them as an adult and hear stories about my dad that I didn't know, right? From their perspective, the stories that they shared with me about my dad. So it's been really wonderful, and getting to know these people and keep their work and their connection, help keep their connection with the community, right? Because they get to reach a lot of fans too when we gather together. So thank you to all those people. And sadly, a lot of those guys and gals are no longer able to make it. I mean, gosh, just this last couple of years, I hate to be maudlin or sad or whatever, but it's fact. And we lost James M. Ward, the creator of Gamma World and Metamorphosis Alpha. We lost my brother Ernie. He died.
I had the pleasure of interacting with him a couple of times on Facebook groups, and I know he had a little bit of, I don't know, not a tarnished reputation, but sometimes he hung out with the wrong people. I don't want to say anything in detail, but he is nothing but nice and cordial.
No, he was a good guy. I would say high intelligence, low wisdom. He made some bad decisions on.
That's a lot of us.
But thank God I never made any mistakes, and so I can criticize everybody freely, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Certainly have my own errors that I've made, and so I try to be forgiving. But for sure. But we lost Ernie. Loved gaming and DM for me since I was just little and would read stories to me anyway. So a lot of fond memories of my brother. Francois Marcella Freudeval, who was very important to the French D&D community and who worked on Oriental Adventures with my dad.
Oh, wow.
He passed away. Jean Raby, who headed the RPGA for a number of years, she passed just this since the last GaryCon as well. So, Tim Kask, obviously. We mentioned Tim.
Yeah, he was on in November on this podcast, and we interacted up to about 2 weeks death. I didn't realize he was kind of suffering as much as he was. I knew he had health issues, but
he didn't let anybody know. He didn't let anybody know. He told me, he's like, hey, I made a promise that I'd come to GaryCon as long as I was able to, and I'm not physically able to anymore. And I said, Tim, I understand. I'm very sad to hear that, but he knew he wasn't going to make it to this GaryCon. We didn't know that he wouldn't be with us at all.
Yeah.
But other people are aging and they're too, it's too difficult for them to travel. It was really nice to have a gentleman named Bob Myers, who gamed with Dave Arneson up in the Twin Cities. And so he was kind of carrying on the Blackmore tradition for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And he came to GaryCon in 2024 he came. And this is a big deal because there was way back in the 70s and early 80s, there was fighting between the Minnesota, in the Lake Geneva, and my dad and Dave Arneson.
Anyone that knows the history knows that there's books literally written on.
If you know, you know.
Dave McGarry and Dave Wesley and all those guys, they would come to GaryCon, and we healed that divide, long ago. But no, Bob, he came and he said, thank you so much for being such a wonderful host. I felt very welcomed here. It's great to see that, there's, people here learning about Blackmore and Dave Arneson and this sort of stuff. He said, thank you for doing that. You have such a wonderful group of people doing this. And I said, you're welcome to come back anytime. He's like, you know what? Honestly, my health is such, this is my last year that this is really taxing. I would love, he actually wrote this beautiful email. I said, well, you're welcome back. And he thought about it for like a month and he said, I just can't do it, just physically. And so that's that's just where we are. So if you want to come to GaryCon, there's still like 100 badges left. Come. There's still some people from the golden age who are able to come, like Dave Wesley and a few other of those guys are still making it. And absolutely, we're forward looking. We have lots of great stuff going on. We have obviously the latest, Wizards designers are going to be there. We have, Goodman Games who are there. Kelsey with Shadow Dark. I don't know if you talk to Kelsey.
I have
she's
not
great,
yet.
right?
She's
she's great.
That's how I'm kind of hoping to use this chance to talk to her, because she's a little harder to get hold of directly through online.
She's so busy these days. It's but she's fantastic, and she came to GaryCon. She's a longtime GaryCon attendee. She still buys a platinum badge and comes as a player. I'm like, you're a guest. She's like, no, I'm not letting go of this. This is like my badge that I earned.
My precious.
There's only so many of them, and you can renew them year to year, but they're hard to get. So
it's like season tickets. You got to hold on to that.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your season ticket to GaryCon. And so
exactly.
Even though she's a special guest now and helps me do it, she's like, no, this is mine. But she, really formed Shadow Dark and playtested it and shaped it at GaryCons and then published it. So she's like, this is my home convention. This is important. She's from Wisconsin originally as well. She lives somewhere else now. In case she doesn't want to know where people. She lives somewhere else.
I think it's the East Coast.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
But no, she's great, and but I know she's very busy working on the Kickstarter stuff and some other personal things that go on. So fantastic! I'm happy to try to put you in contact and see if you can. She's just amazing and really, really lovely person and fun game designer too.
Before you jumped on, me and Brent were talking, and we're going through the list that you guys are doing on the social media. I'm like, look, it's like Keith Baker from Rebrion. You got shoot.
So that's a great segue. So.
Zeb Cook from Planescape, and then Margaret Weiss from Dragon. Like all the big campaign setting makers are going to be here. This is a great time to, if you want to bring a book or whatever, and I don't know if they charge for autographs or not, but if you want a book sign.
Charge for autographs.
This episode's been brought to you by. So every GM here starts small from the experts when building a campaign, right? A tavern, a village, a few NPCs. But what if your players want something more without feeling overwhelmed? That's where Centurion 3D steps in. Their set brings over 30 build-out options, infinite ways to grow your world, infinite ways to grow your table. Centurion 3D Studios is for game masters who want to stay small but go big for their players. Alright, fellow hermits, Heimdall has just dropped their new dice line, and they come in a unique LED display box that makes them look like they're pulled straight out of a mythical ancient Viking vault. And the dice themselves, they're runic. Full Thark-inspired font on the faces, but the wild part is they've got this iridescent finish that literally changes when the light hits them. It's like your dice are actually filled with magic. If you want to show off the dice in a totally new way, grab one of these 5 sets, if not all of them. They're something out of the 9 realms themselves.
You're saying there's a good segue into something?
Oh, that's a good segue, yeah. So you talked about, I think you talked about Zeb Cook.
Yeah.
Keith Baker and Kelsey Dion, all of them are working with me on Founders and Legends, which is something that I do before GaryCon. It started as the 50th anniversary of D&D is coming up. I said, I need to do something special.
Okay.
And I had considered doing a panel with a designer from, OD&D, or Tim Kask, editor, right?
Yeah.
OD&D 1E, 2E, 3E, 4E, 5E. So we could talk about D&D across, the evolution of D&D.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, wait a second. Talking about D&D is not really the way that you see something. You figure it out if you're playing it. Let's make a game where you play every edition of D&D in the same storyline as the same character, and your character evolves edition to edition. That's going to show you how the rules changed, what the focus of the game was, and how that dictated gameplay.
Oh.
And so that wild thought, I then started recruiting people. And so I got Zeb Cook, Keith Baker, Mike Mearls, and Kelsey Dion together with my friend Andrew Perry, who runs the World Association of Role Playing that's been gaming for like 40, they're on their 50th year. They've been set with 76. So yeah, they've been together since 1976. So it's their 50th anniversary. And he runs over 1,000 hours of D&D a year. He's nuts. He's insane. But so I had him as kind of my PM we came up with the season, right? Based it on some of my dad's work, came up with the idea, and we sold seats at this game for $2,000 a piece. I figured we'd sell 16 or something like that, right? Or 20. I think I offered 24. They sold out in a day. So I was like, all right, so I added another team. That sold out. So we had 5 teams, so 40 people doing this. They finished it's 2 days, and you started off as OD&D, then went to 1E, 2E, 3E, and then during there you jumped into 4, and then the 5, and then your third session was 5. So it's 2 days, 16 hours,
Oof.
with all these DMs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they loved it. They had a great time. Funny part is they said, "This is awesome. How do we sign up for next year?" We're like, "Next year? Okay. Well, I guess we did have an idea to make this a switch. We thought we were just going to run it once and kickstart it or something like that." So now we're on season 3, and we've had various people, but Kelsey's back for season 3. We've got Amy Vorpal, TJ Storm, Jason Charles Miller helped out this year as well. Andrew, Zeb, and Keith, all DMing. We added an extra person, extra group this year due to popular demand. Some people said, "Well, I want to get in." I said, "It's sold out. I want to bring a whole other team of 8." So I was like, "Well, okay." I'll figure it out. And so we run this at the weekend before GaryCon. So people come in. They come in on Sunday. Sunday night, we brief them, do character issues, recap everything, and then we go Monday, Tuesday, and then do a word ceremony on Wednesday. It's been great. People are just having a blast. It's really wonderful. And so that no one's done this idea anywhere. And
no, the closest thing I've seen to it is Gen Con's 50th anniversary. They were televising on YouTube of John Peterson talking about the different editions and the history, and they went through and played each edition and kind of showed it for like a 3 to 4 hour session. It was so interesting to watch kind of how the games evolved. So for anyone that's listening and wants
who ran the AD&D one?
I think
real jerk. Real guess.
I cannot remember off the top of my head, unfortunately. Was it? Oh, yeah.
Oh, no way.
I ran Flames of Vengeance. That was the game. Stefan Bacorny was there playing with Anne, and a couple other great Stephen Radney McFarlane was playing in that game as well. And it was awesome because I killed the entire party.
Yes.
But they killed the main bad guy. They stopped. So it was just what a great ending, a total wipeout. All there was is one, assistant, one bodyguard to the bad guy was left. And that's who killed the illusionist at the end. So it's really good. You can go watch it. Watch this one. It's worth the price of admission. It was a lot of fun. So that's one I should publish.
Got taken out by a minion.
Yeah, well, you got to watch it. I just you should. Seriously, it's fun. Just put it on the background. There's some fun stuff.
There's another thing I saw that you were doing recently. You're actually going around and doing public speaking and talking about how well, and I talk about this on this podcast, I think almost every other episode, of how D&D can be used for real life skills, as a first responder, the problem solving skills and talking and being able to interact especially for the socially awkward that are find that hard. And I find that so nice that, considering who you are, explaining this to people of this is such a big benefit of
I think
this
it is,
game.
and that's what makes D&D more than just a game, right? My dad created a really awesome game. That's great. Probably not life-changing though, right? Just to play a game. I don't know that Monopoly has changed people's lives. It may have, but
it's ended relationships, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. But with Dungeons and Dragons, it was revolutionary. It was so different, and I think people who've grown up with role-playing gaming being available all the time don't really think about it. But prior to that, there was winners and losers. So take your Monopoly as a for instance. The objective is to crush everyone else at the table, right?
I see Axis and Allies behind you, same thing.
Axis and Allies, yeah, exactly, right?
Ooh,
all the war games, crush, destroy, right? And there will be one, and everybody else is a loser. In Dungeons and Dragons, you win or lose together, right? You are relying on one another to overcome external threats, and I think that's a very different focus and more team building.
Yeah.
Monopoly has a board, and it has a prescribed way of moving across it, right? You can't go kitty corner, you can't go backwards, you can't go off the map and head into new territory. D&D is unlimited. It is really limited by your imagination. That's it. And how many, if you DM, then, hey, look, all the arrows are pointing, go this way. And the party's like, yeah, no, I think there was this random thing you mentioned that we're going to pursue that has nothing to do with the plot or anything you developed. And you're like, okay,
Yeah, what
here
that's
we go.
like, Nate, huh?
And you're in a new territory, right? So it's unlimited. Monopoly, there's a prescribed end state, right? You've wiped everybody else out. Boom. You fold the game board up. When you get it out again, right?
Yeah.
You just reset it up. In Dungeons and Dragons, you continue that adventure until you decide you don't want to. If your character dies, there could be resurrection, there could be other things that go on. The campaign goes until you kind of reach a conclusion where you all kind of decide it's done. And if you win in Monopoly, there's no particular benefit to it the next time you play. Whereas in Dungeons and Dragons, your character develops over time through experience, gaining levels, etc. If you're the shoe and you win, the next time you play Monopoly, you don't get a +1 on your die roll or anything like that. So all these things are revolutionary ideas that didn't really apply to games that were out there. And the most important one is, as you said, is the team building. OD&D first edition, everybody had different strengths and weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
So you had to look at a problem or whatever your mission was that you were going to go out and do. Think, okay, what resources do we have, especially with like Vancian magic system that you were using, which meant you had to memorize your spells in advance and pick them out. And after you use that spell, if you had 4 first level spells and you wanted 2 magic missiles, you had to write down magic missile twice and cross out every time you cast them, right? And if you had a charm person spell and there was no reason to use a charm person, you couldn't change it for a magic missile. You had a charm person or whatever it was, feather fall, and didn't matter.
Yeah.
So you had to plan that out. You had to think about balance. Healing was very difficult. You want that cleric there that's like your medical. So you really got your medical corps, you've got your artillery, you've got your infantry armor, right? And so you got your combined arms team that you're going to battle with, and your support, right? And so you had to figure out how best to employ them, how to use, how to approach a problem, and resource management, right? So you're doing all this sort of stuff, and then, oh, great, I have the way I want to do it. Nathan has the way he wants to do it. Well, now we have to figure out what we're actually going to do. So we have to communicate, exchange ideas. I have to try to be persuasive. We have to listen and do it to one another and come up with some key points. So you think you're playing a game, you're learning life skills, valuable life skills. And let's say you maybe have autism or whatever the case may be, right? Where you're socially awkward or it's difficult for you to interface with people, terribly shy, whatever the case may be. You get to put on the garb, the facade of a character and learn how to navigate social situations where you're not you. You're somebody else. It's easier for you to be, well, I'm a bold barbarian. Of course I can speak. Of course I can speak up. Right? And those are fungible skills that you can take into the real world. And so I think that's what a lot of people just don't realize. And I certainly didn't until people kept telling me their story over and over and over again. I said, wow, this game is amazing. Look at all this stuff that it does. And so, yeah, I want to get up there and shout and say, hey, this is an awesome game. You're learning so much. If you have kids, let them play D&D. The Satanic Panic was absolutely got it wrong. This is a game that is amazing. Keeps your kids inside on a Saturday night. Sure, they may be eating chips and drinking Mountain Dew, but they're not out carousing, getting in trouble, and they're making stories, and they're learning great vocabulary, and all these, persuasive, small, solving, small group dynamics, problem solving, all these skill sets that are just going to give them a boost up in life, and then you should really encourage that.
You're talking about different perspectives, and that was like one of the things that always kind of stuck with me. And your dad even commented on it was, the one great thing about D&D is how I run it. And I believe he said if I go to Dave's game, he could run it completely different. And I don't know what's going to happen. And that was part of the fun, is how each person goes, or when you have all these different players sitting at the table, and you just like they come up with the most random of ideas of how to solve this, and you just like want to look at them like.
I mean, I run it. So I did a couple modules in the world of Oakroom. It's a world I designed or based on after my last tour to Iraq. I was trying to think of a scenario, and it was before 5th edition was invented, and so I was like, man, people are always running around in their plate mail, jumping over stuff, and even though it's like, hot or whatever, they're carrying all this weight. That's not realistic at all. Go stand outside in 129-degree heat with your body armor on. You're not going to be running around.
Your boots are melting to the roof you're standing on.
I had to mention that to a player one time when he goes, I sleep in my armor. Have you ever slept in anything remotely like that? You're not going to get a good night's rest.
No. There's no way. That's completely. So anyway, I came up with this world, but it's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the adventures, at the end, you basically run into a big merit, water djinn at the end that's guarding something. And along the way, they had come across a few magic items. One of them being a shofar, a horn that you could blow, and underwater it would summon sharks, right? That you could control. So this merit just forms out of a pool of water that was in the room, and is like gives you this whole business. And he's a big 5e bad guy with regeneration and all this sort of stuff. And it's I'm running into conventions, and we're getting out of the last couple minutes here because it's probably at least an 8-hour adventure. I'm trying to shrink it down into 4, so I've cut out some bits. And anyway, so we're running short of time, and someone's like, I'm gonna take the horn, and I'm going to dive into the merit and blow the horn. And I was like,
you're gonna what?
I was like, okay, it is made of water. So I said, all right, give me an acrobatics check of like 20. Roll it to hit, make sure you can jump in. They give me an acrobatics roll of like 20 or higher, and it was like the rogue, so they had like a +8 or 11 or something ridiculous. So they make it in there, and I was like, okay, you take 20 points of damage for going through this thing. It's completely cold, it's touching it. All right, you're still alive. Blow the horn. I was like, all right, screw it. You got Sharknado. He blows up. Sharknado flying around everywhere, and they defeated the merit that way. So yeah, why not reward? In a situation like that, reward that doing something cool and some good die rolls. Have fun. I think there's no wrong way to play Dungeons and Dragons in my estimation, so long as everybody at the table is having a good time.
No,
that's right there. Really there it is.
And I've said it time and time again. When they walk away from that table, are they going to talk about years down the line about how the GM didn't listen to their idea, or are they going to talk about how they made Sharknado out of a water elemental merid? They're going to talk about Sharknado.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sharknado moment. That's so fun. Have fun with it, man. Okay. Now let's say you're in a tournament play and there's some sort of prize and ranking and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you probably gotta be a little bit more strict with rules and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're just having fun. We're just hanging out. It's a friendly game. Do something fun.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other side, if you're a player and the DM gets a rule wrong, roll with it for the most part. Like bring it up later. Don't be a good rules lawyer. Gets in the way.
Yeah.
That also.
No, there's no reason to argue for 20 minutes about the stealth mechanic of certain things because they're always kind of wonky edition to edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make a call and go with it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can always bring it up later. And
you can have a discussion about it. There's Discord, there's text, there's
all
making a phone
things.
call.
Well, I see I have summoned my faithful hound here.
Oh, Grogu.
Come on, Grogu. Oh, you just want to go outside.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
he went the other way. All right, Grogu.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
he
all
would
good.
make an appearance.
One of the best pictures I've seen of you online is Grogu fighting Joe Manganiello's little chihuahua.
Bubbles is the most vicious dog ever. She's great though. She's pretty old. So he got her as a rescue, and I think Bubbles probably wasn't treated real well by a lot of people.
Aww.
So she's bonded with Joe and Caitlin, and very, very few other people. So if you get close to Joe, Bubbles is on guard. So, but no, he loves that dog. He takes Bubbles everywhere.
I wanted to ask just a couple, I guess, more personal side questions. I know, like the genesis of this podcast was a couple months before, but it was my mom. The same way, kind of Gary Con was. She died of leukemia, and then she got pneumonia, and she just couldn't fight off both things at once. And it
No.
got me thinking of, she was this artist that, you know, she tried to put herself out here a couple of times, and I want to be able to share my experiences with this community and this gaming thing that I love so much. And I have plenty of like favorite memories of her, and like I just wanted to ask you, like, what's your like favorite memory, like your maybe an obscure memory of your father?
Yeah, probably, oddly enough, going fishing in a cabin up in northern Wisconsin and just hanging out. I'm not much of a fisherman, I'm not much of an outdoorsman, but we're in a rowboat, so I got to, it was like pretty unusual that we did this. We only really took one of these trips, and it was just fun because I would play some D&D with him afterwards,
Yeah.
solo, one-on-one adventuring, and that was a lot of fun. And just getting away and doing that sort of stuff. Because it was right towards the end when my parents were breaking up. They divorced when I was 12, so
Yeah.
it's a rough time for a kid, and then to have your parents divorce, very 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 difficult, very challenging. But really, probably the special moments to me that really stand out with my dad were just solo adventuring and playing D&D. And then later in life, just being able to pick up the phone and talk to him about political events or in context of history, or just being able to pick up the phone and chat about whatever it was. Those are really the fun moments. I mean, we used to like to go shoot guns together. So here's a gun safety moment for all of you out there. I was just a lad, so I was maybe 10, and we were shooting cans in the in the backwoods area that we had in the house. And so it was an old like Luger, so it looked like a World War II German officer pistol kind of thing.
Like a
And we were
POA?
shooting that. Yeah, I think it was. And
Okay.
again, I was I was just a kid. So he put the gun down and went to set the cans up. And here I thought,
Uh-oh.
okay, the magazine's not in the gun, right? Not in the pistol. Magazine's not in the pistol. I pick it up, and we just watched a James Bond movie a day or two ago. So I do the old James Bond turn and shoot thing.
Oh.
He'd put one in the chamber.
Mm-hmm.
And so luckily, I did not hit my dad when he was downrange. But
Ooh.
that was a valuable lesson to always, always, always treat a gun as if it is loaded. It is not a toy.
Yeah.
It is not a toy. Even, double check. Even if you think it's not loaded, you double check that chamber. Never point it in the direction where somebody is unless you intend to shoot that.
I think that's a good thing to go over the rules of gun safety right now is be sure of what you're aiming at, what's behind it. Keep your finger off the trigger unless you're ready to fire. Do not point at anything you're not willing to destroy, and always think a gun's loaded.
Those are excellent principles, and just always bear that in mind. It is a gun is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a machine. It is not dangerous in and of itself, but in hands that don't treat it with respect and follow those rules, it is extremely dangerous. Just like a car or anything else, you gotta follow those rules and be
Yeah,
but that was a very memorable moment. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely, yeah.
You let me know that was not okay. That was not a good thing to do.
No.
Yeah, and I never forgot that. But no, special moments with my dad, really just sharing that one-on-one time, because he was busy and traveling a lot. But man, some of those adventures were so fantastic. And I played Melf. Well, Otis was my first character, but I was very young. He died in Tomb of Horrors when I was bugging my dad. I wanted to play one of those solo sessions. He must have had a bad day at work.
Man, he even solo. Oh wow.
Yes. So that didn't end well for me. I mean, it was no later than 1981, so I was like 10 or 11, right? And then I rolled up Melf and played Melf, and then that became my character that did a whole lot of fun adventuring and play tested, all through Sajkanth and Lost Temple of, or Forgotten Temple of Thurston, and Dungeon Land and Beyond the Magic Mirror. I don't know if you remember the old Gord the Rogue books, but Melf appears in those.
Yeah.
With a character named Keek, who's an evil elf. But we actually role played those in those scenarios, and he actually tricked me, so I remember that, and he would laugh about that.
Was Melf, like there's the famous Melf's acid
Melf's
arrow.
acid
Was that
arrow,
something you came up with or somebody else?
Yeah, no, I came up with that.
Nice.
So I was adventuring in Castle Greyhawk, my dad's kind of home dungeon, and I was solo adventuring, right? And I was a fighter magic user, Why? Because that's what you need, right? You know, it's the basics, right? You don't have the healing, but I could get out of the dungeon for that, or potions or scrolls. So I had longbow. So I'd kick open the door and I'd have my longbow, and I'd want to shoot something because usually there's something a few feet away. At least you get a chance to make an attack first. So a common scenario that you would face would be spellcaster with meat shields, and it's orcs, whatever it was, right? You know, evil high priest, evil magic user. So sure enough, one time I kick in the door, okay, evil magic user, orcs or brigands, I can't remember which one, and I'm shooting. I'm like, man, this guy's like, I can't cut through fast enough, and this guy's peppering me with spells, and it was really annoying, right? So I was like, okay, can I? Yeah, in an advanced Dungeons and Dragons, Vancian magic system. Also, if you had to declare your actions prior to rolling initiative. If you were spellcasting and you took damage, the spell did not go off, and you lost the spell.
Ooh.
Pretty powerful thing, right? So I thought, hey, can I tie a vial of acid to this arrow? And that way, when I kick in the door, I could see anybody in robes or whatever spellcaster and shoot them and maybe get just 1 point of damage for a couple rounds. That would delay them from being able to cast spells against me. He's like, no, that would mess up the aerodynamics of the arrow. It totally wouldn't work. So I was like, all right, how about I put magic acid on there? He's like, well, you could go research it. And so sure enough, I had to go back, take myself out of game, spend, go to sages, consult, buy spell components, test, etc. Roll some dice. Okay, yes, you were able to come up with something, and then we had to hash out the terms of what it would be like. And that's why Melf's Acid Arrow does a little bit of damage for several rounds. That's nice. The whole point. It's a 1E. It's meant to be a 1E mechanic.
Interesting.
To work with a 1E mechanic. And it takes enemy spellcasters out of combat for like 4 rounds.
Yeah, like I guess the more modern term would be ongoing or lingering damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, like either bleeding or whatever. Yeah.
Right. So I guess it would force a concentration check in 5 years.
Yeah, if concentration checks,
not nearly as effective. This, if you were taking damage, no spells for you. So that was important.
Non-D&D.
Melf's Minute Meteors, similar.
Minute Meteors, yep.
Really? I made 5th level. Yes. I had to go find someone to teach me Fireball, so I had to pay money for that, pay for the training, right? And then I had to roll to make sure I could learn the spell. I did all those things. And then, so I go down and it kick open a door. What do I see? 2 ogres or 3 ogres, something like that. I'm like, how big is the room? And he's like, it's 30 by 30. I'm like, yes! Fireball. So I throw a fireball, and he's like, okay, go ahead and roll a saving throw. I'm like, what are you talking about, roll a saving throw? He's like, the fireball's going down the hallway. No, it's a 30 by 30 room. He said, yeah, but the ceiling's only 10 feet high.
Oh.
And so I learned the difference between area and volume. So another hand, Dungeons Dragons teaches you, right? So I was like, that's BS, Dad. That's so unfair. That's cheating. BS. I should be able to break my fireballs down into smaller ones so I don't get burned. He's like, well, you can. Let's go ahead and go through that process.
So pretty much turn your fireball into a jet engine in your face. Oh, man.
If you've ever, so jet engine, the M1 tank has a jet engine.
The Abram,
Yeah, and so it smells horrible, obviously, and is really hot when it's coming out of there. Very, very useful in Desert Storm. I thought, desert's going to be dry. No, we had like a massive rainstorm like 2 days before we crossed the into Iraq for the first time. It soaked everything. We had those down sleeping bags, but we had a platoon of tanks with us for the mechanized company team. You had a platoon of tanks and two platoons of mechanized infantry, so that you could, because tanks don't fight well against infantry.
That whole combined arms thing.
Yeah, exactly right. And so what was great, we just put up a laundry line behind them, and they turn on the tanks and would dry out our sleeping bags in like an hour. It was great.
There you go.
So they come in very handy. And it is very, very hot. Very hot. But no, that's those things all came about, and a lot of the spells and magic items and stuff were created in conjunction. My dad made some of them up. Other people came to him with ideas, and they collaborated on them and did them. Like the portable hole is from Roadrunner, right?
Oh yeah, Wile E. Coyote. Yeah,
Wile E. Coyote. So that's the portable hole. Magic missile comes from the old Vincent Price and the guy who talks like this. I can't remember what his name is, but
I know who you're talking about though.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Dang.
yeah, and they're basically two wizards, and they're like levitating on these chairs and having a battle, and they like form very poor special effects darts that go back and forth in little shields. So it was the shield and magic missile spells both came out of that. That one. I mean, so trolls were out of Three Hearts and Three Lions from Poul Anderson. The fire damages them and that sort of stuff. Not the So there's all sorts of literary and there's no new idea under the sun. You just take it and kind of meld it with your ideas and boom, you come up with
Our last campaign. Portable Hole's still surprising people because we have a new player at the table. She wasn't very well versed with D&D, but she's coming to play because her husband's playing. She wants to socialize. And I had a little dwarf NPC hireling that kind of pain, and he pulls out this portable hole, and she's like, "He doing what?" And I'm like, "He literally lays out this cloth, and then it forms into this extra dimensional space." And I go, "It looks something literally out of Looney Tunes." And she's just like, "That's an actual item?" I'm like, "Yes, actually it is."
That's an actual thing. Everybody at the table knew what it was, so we were just kind of having fun, just sitting back, seeing this interaction of, because we're like, yeah, this is legit.
And so that's something that I always talked about is important, is a sense of wonderment in the game, right? You want to keep players guessing. If they know, they look at something, they go, "Oh, I know what that is. It's weak to these three things. This is how we take it out." That takes a lot of magic out of the game, right?
Yeah.
It's that sense of wonder. What is that? And so that's why I have, essentially in my world of Okarim, that was basically, for simplify it, magical nuclear war that took out the existing civilization. Their old artifacts are like sci-fi tech, really, essentially, right?
Yeah.
But hey, it's magic. If you don't know how to work it, it's magic, right? How does that
What's
work?
that? What's that quote? That any sufficiently high technology to the uninitiated look like magic?
Yep.
I probably slaughtered that, but yeah.
But that's exactly the principle I took and just said, okay, great. So this is this lost society. Yes, sure, it's magic, but for everybody else, they don't know. Like, they're slightly different than everybody else. They don't know how to channel this type of magic. It's super powerful. But if you can learn just a little bit of it, boy, oh boy, you become like one of the elite in the society today. But it also unleashed, for lack of a better term, come here, buddy. Chaos magic. Come on up. Come on.
Yeah, Terry Brooks made an entire book series.
There he is.
Panara.
Yeah.
We got a Grogu sighting,
There we go.
So, I'm getting.
That's a beautiful pattern.
We'll have to make sure to put him in the comments down below.
Exactly. Gotta give him credit.
He's a good boy. That's right. So yeah, he signs autographs with me at GaryCon. We get a little ink pad.
Oh, nice.
And then he'll stamp it with his certificate of authenticity.
We
have a little.
I totally have to get one of those.
We have a plushie of Grogu with the wizard's hat on too. So
fantastic!
There's a couple of episodes where we'll record here in the room, and you'll see a little white tail just go fluffing above because it's my Samoyed Eskimo dog that she needs to be involved or at least be in the room.
Yep.
Absolutely. They're great companions. And
absolutely.
That's awesome. But I should probably mention this. I have a Kickstarter going on right now.
Oh,
another one.
Just a small one. It's for Rogue's Gambit. So if you search Rogue's Gambit Kickstarter, it'll pop up. It's a little one-shot adventure that I made for Gen Con in 2024. And I ran it for Deb Wool and Sandeep and a few other folks on the main stage at Gen Con. Just like a little 2-hour adventure. And it was so much fun. I just expanded it a little bit and had been running it at conventions all over the world. I ran it in Dubai and UK and lots of other places. Probably 36 times I've run this little adventure. And I've never had a bad game. It's always been fun. And you would admit, yes, hey, generally they go well, right? And you get a good energy or whatever. This one's always been fun. And it's very silly. It's whimsical. It's lighthearted. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Adventurers meets The Running Man. And,
okay.
It's great. Oh my God. And people just have so much fun with it. And I made the characters, the pre-gens are all a little flawed, right? But it's magic when they get together and just have a good old time. So So that one's kickstarting now, and I just threw it out there mostly because I wanted to share it with the world, because I really have had a good time. I've had, well over 150 hours of fun running this adventure with people, and I'd like to share that with everybody else too.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, looking at it right now.
yeah.
Thank you for signing my copy.
You're welcome. Yeah, no, it's so fun, man. It's fun, and it's great as a one shot. If you go to conventions, this is just, it's fun, it's fast, it's I run it deadly, even as 5e. I make it deadly. But you can also run it for your character, your party, we put some options in there so you can run it. It can still be as deadly, or it cannot be deadly.
From one dungeon master to another in 5th edition, how do you make stuff more deadly?
Well, if I'm running for conventions, I try to just follow the rules as set, just because, you don't want somebody walking your game and go, it's going to be this way, and they're expecting a standard 5e game, right? And you're like, I don't want to be like, I don't know if you guys remember Major Payne or
oh yes,
you know what I mean, like, or Full Metal Jacket. So I usually run it by the rules. What you can do to make it, or what you have to do kind of make it more challenging in resource management, is you have to put time limits on it. You can't take these rests. You gotta go. There's time limits all the time. When you have a big bad guy, you gotta have minions in there to annoy people and get in the way, so they can't all just gang up on the big bad, because that makes it hard. You have to have some in-layer effects or whatever, so they get some interrupts between as people are doing stuff for your bigger bads, right? So you really have to tailor that at these, once they're like 7th level or whatever, it gets to be more challenging, because they can lay out a lot of damage, put up a lot of healing, polymorph. I mean, I had a guy who just was a druid and was like shape changing, or somebody was polymorphing them, and then they get killed and then they pop back, and word of healing or something, and they pop back up. So it was, I think I put like 400 points of damage on this character, right? From the big bad, and it just gets a little ridiculous. It becomes like an accounting as opposed to a battle, right? So if you're going to run a campaign, I have a product that's forthcoming probably in 2027 called Melf's Guide to Greyhawk. It's going to talk about the shield bands and
okay.
and I'm going to put in some keeping the Gygax and Greyhawk, which are some alternate ways of looking, because 5e is an excellent system. There's just some things that I think make it a little bit more challenging to keep tension in place.
Yeah,
I think tension is really important. So what I'm looking at, and I'm not 100% settled on this, is just extending a short rest to probably an 8-hour period, and maybe a long rest to either 72 hours or a week. And that will force you to be much more, you'll think about expending before you expend resources, right? Your spells and hit points and things like that. And therefore you will change your outlook on, I see bad thing, I fight bad thing, right? Sometimes you're not always meant to fight bad thing. Just like in an older school approach, you might run across something that's really out of your league. Run away. Avoid it.
Reminds me of that scene in the Hobbit movies, to where the dwarves are going through the canyon, and there's the two giants are fighting, and like, and so they're running away from it. And I sit there and I look at it and I go, if this was D&D 5th edition, those dwarves would absolutely fight those things.
Right. So sometimes it's wiser to run away and live to fight another day. And so putting that fear of, the fear of God or the fear of giants in characters is good, right? So I shouldn't say it. I like that.
Yeah.
For my style of play. I find that tension more exciting. I can't destroy everything that I come across, right? I have to be wise. I have to use tactics. I may have to avoid something, and then, to get to where I want to go, right? I don't know why I thought of this, but I guess because it came out of wargaming, right? So there was the Maginot Line, right?
Oh, yeah.
Smash themselves on the Maginot Line, or they just go right around it and then attack. So there you go. Same kind of concept. Why attack the hardest thing if you can avoid it?
Yeah.
And just neutralize it by cutting it off or avoiding it entirely. So I think that's a more interesting style of play. And, getting some of the grittiness back in there, because what's really been popular for gamers currently, many of whom came into the hobby through 5e,
Yep.
which is a fantastic game and a fantastic resource.
I mean,
And my God, thank you, Mike Mearls. Thank you, Wizards, for putting that product in place that brought tens of millions of gamers into the space. Thank you.
Yep.
But people are playing Shadowdark. People are playing DCC. People are playing Alien, Mothership, etc. These are all a little bit gritty, a little bit easier, right? A little bit like fast entry still for the most part, but grittier. You know, a little bit more dead. And people like that. Oh my God, this could be the end.
I like we've interviewed a couple OSR people, like Chris Gonerman from Basic Fantasy was our 100th episode, and it's actually one of our most successful episodes, just because he has the right mentality of serving the community and giving it a little bit more grit. I do find as time has gone along with 5e, just like that grit and figuring out how to make a more modern 5e system more deadlier kind of puts people a little bit more on edge. And there's nothing against like people that are kind of in this slice of life gaming. It's just not something I'm into. I do like the dungeon delving, and you know, my decisions have real big consequences for this character that I could lose, unfortunately. If I play it and let's just be play it stupidly, I'm gonna lose this character.
Right. Yeah, and man, you know, when you put months and months of work or years into building a character, and it was scary to lose him. I mean, yeah, okay, here I am, you know, old guy, get off my lawn. But in first edition, when you ran into undead, you know, more powerful undead, they would drain levels from those.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
That was horrible. Like, oh my God, what? A vampire hit me and I've lost 2 levels?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like you lose the hit points, you lose the
spell slots. If you had an extra attack, you lost that.
What's going on? Yeah, and so those were just that kind of tension. Like, oh no, I don't want them to touch me at all. Even if I can defeat them, if I'm really confident I can defeat them, if they hit me twice, I've lost 4 levels. What? That's not worth it. That was a year of hard gameplay, or even just expending magic items, because magic items were hard to come by in Greyhawk, right? You could, if you got magic items, you could always sell them. You would never find them again. They were off the market, right? So you get paid. And back in the old days, if you sold it, the gold pieces equated to experience points.
Yep. Yes, right? That's where murder hobos came from.
Value for keeping it, and there was an experience point value for selling it, right? So that was, but once it was gone, if you sold it, gone. You'd never see it again, and you could never really go out there and buy magic on the economy. That was like you had to pay extra for it. So magic was really valuable. So if you used that scroll that you'd been saving for or you fired that that magic arrow of whatever it was, or threw your javelin of lightning, when's the next time you're going to get something like that? So you had to really think about it. So husbanding resources, building tension. When are you going to use stuff? When are you going to go all in on something? All that just adds to the story. If you think about movies and other forms of storytelling, if the main character, the protagonist, is just cruising through scene after scene with no risk, no character development, no tension, it's going to be boring.
Well, a good example is this. I was just watching one with my partner the other day, and it had so much tension in it. It actually grabbed my attention, and I put my phone down and I watched it. And at the end of the movie, I said, "Man, that was actually kind of stressful to watch," but it held my attention.
Well, Apocalypto.
Yes.
Apocalypto? Yeah. Oh my God, that was. I mean, I don't know if I like the movie or don't like the movie, but it was like you could get PTSD from watching that thing.
Yeah.
What a powerful.
Not even speaking English, you have no idea what they're saying, but each of the characters is so identifiable that you can see it in there's a little bit of you in everybody. And then just seeing what those guys went through with the one that really got to me in Apocalypto was the human sacrifice scene.
Yes,
when
terrible.
They have the eclipse and everything. I was going, this is what am I getting into here?
yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. So that's just a really great cinema, right? When they can pull you in like that. If you can do that at the table, and have all those people invested, and they're like, uh-oh, it's down to this die roll. Uh-oh, what's going on, right? That's great. And so one of the reasons why I partner with my good friend A. Scott Perry is that he really runs that OSR style. It doesn't appeal to everybody, but man, when we're running Founders and Legends, this is the style we go with. The DM is not someone you get to ask questions of, right? Hey, what is, can I do this? I don't know. Can you? What does this look? Or do you think he would do this? Who are you asking? It's like, tell me what you're doing. I will give you the results, right?
Yeah.
But also, it's sick, what he runs he runs a Beyond Barrier Peaks game that's amazing that he designed. His dad knew my dad, so he gamed with my dad a few times, and he showed my dad the Beyond Barrier Peaks stuff, which was pretty cool. But anyway, so he basically fleshed out the rest of the ship from Beyond Barrier Peaks, and he's been running it for 40 years, right? He's running it in 2E, but there's a lot of save or die kind of stuff, right? People are on the edge of their seat during this, and of course, since it's the cross genre stuff, you are interacting with tech that's magic, right? So I was playing with a group of folks who's running a VIP game for Joe Manganello and his group, and so I rolled pretty decent for initiative, or we were going around the table because we want initiative, and I said, okay, basically there's bad stuff behind us, we have to move forward. There's a mind flayer with some controlling some robots, some metal golems, right?
Some men of iron.
Yeah, and so I think we maybe the mind flayer had jumped down behind something, and I was like, okay, time to run forward. So I'm running forward. I'm a spellcaster. Another guy's running forward. Tom Morello gets asked what he's doing. He's like, I'm going to throw a boom fruit. I'm going to throw one of the white boom fruit. I'm like, oh no, that's a plasma grenade. This is bad. I have like 40 hit points as a spellcaster. I am toast. I'm running right into, and I've already declared my action. I don't know what he's doing. So I am effed, right? Up next, Vince Vaughn. He's also playing a spellcaster, playing Rammstein. And he's like, hey, you can shape Wall of Force. And I'm like, yes, you can shape Wall of Force. He's like, I'm going to throw a Wall of Force. And he gets up to the screen with the map on it. And he's like, I'm going to make it like a parabola. And they're like arguing for like 15 minutes how he's going to shape this thing to shield it from the
casual geometry.
Right. And it goes off. The boom fruit goes off. The thing, the cone of the Wall of Force is shaped around it in such a way that it shapes all the blast away, is destroyed, but saves like 4 of the party members, like that. I was like, oh my God. And it's just that that tension right there and that clutch spell use, right, was just kill. And it just, that's a couple years ago, and it's probably one of my favorite moments. And like, oh my God, how cool was that? And it was just like clutch play. So thank you for saving my character.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's great.
God.
But yeah, those are the moments that you remember, right? Oh my God, I'm gonna die. Oh, my partner here, the buddy, saved me with some smart play. So
Those are awesome.
That's what it's about, right? Teamwork.
That's great.
Being smart, saving people.
That's at the end of our last campaign, Brent was talking because I was running the game, and he has said on air that he was coming to the finale of our campaign, and he was saying to his wife, he's like, there's a good chance I lose my character tonight. And it made him want to come here even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I'm all in.
Yeah, we could actually literally level 20. We could still die.
Yes, and that's it does take more skill, talent, experience as a DM to keep it challenging. During those times.
Oh yes.
When it's not challenging, that's when just as a player, oh, it's time to retire these guys, and they can be mission givers for the next group of characters that are coming along, right?
Yeah,
they can become NPCs. They can get into the lore of the campaign.
Yeah, where do you think those shopkeepers and those bartenders come from? They're all level 20 retired adventurers.
That is a nasty surprise when you go and you start a fight. He's like, what? No, I was like a retired 12th level fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
I have one more question for you since we're at 90 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
How do you personally, you've talked about the future and maybe Wizards making some announcements at GaryCon, is how would you like to see the TTRPG community evolving in the coming years? It's evolved in such an unexpected way, especially in the last 10 years. So
yeah, I think it's grown a lot. We're seeing a lot of young people coming into the space, which is awesome. That means we get to keep this thing going, and we get to pass it on to more people. And it's funny to hear the people who are established now be like, well, I got in way back at 3rd edition or 3.5. I'm like, that's still new. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So I cut my teeth on 3.5. So
yeah, I'm like,
so yeah,
right. Yeah. So to me, that's still newfangled D&D.
Yeah.
But and so that's funny. But I think for the community to keep growing, stay connected, I think it's I obviously talked to a lot of other convention organizers. They continue to have growth, right? Continue to have growth. I want to see creative people looking at games and new ways to play the games and new fun things to keep people interested. And ideally, I want to see some of my dad's stuff back into D&D. I think he's got I really enjoyed playing Castle Greyhawk, and the Trolls of Troll Lord Games was doing Castle Zagig, which is based on my dad's works from way back then. So that'll be a great look at that. But yeah, I want to see more and more young people coming into the game and intermixing with all the generations and learning and passing on. Because Founders and Legends is awesome. That whole tournament is fantastic. I got to take this on the road. I think I really need to take it to other conventions and run it before some other conventions, because I think this is just a lot of fun for people to see how the gameplay has changed over time and how the changes in rules focus on different things. But there's some lessons to be pulled from older ways of playing that you can pull out those bits and put them into different rule systems that maybe run a little smoother or things like that, but brings out a whole nother aspect of play and maybe makes it exciting and new again, right? Because that's what we all want. The first time you sat down and played D&D and you really understood and had that aha moment, that's magic, right?
Yeah,
that's magic.
You
taught somebody how to play, and it's like, well, and they're a little timid. They're like, well, okay, what can I do? What would you like to do? Well, can I go over here and do this? Yes, you can. You go over there and do this, roll a die. Wait, I can do this? Yes, you can do anything. And they're like, and then they start running with it. That's cool, right? It's not scripted. It's not limited. You are in it. You're telling the story. You're rolling with it. So more and more people to play. I hopefully want, for me, I want to see a continuance of people playing in person together.
Yes.
To the maximum extent that that's possible. This is, obviously video conferencing is amazing. And it kept us connected through the pandemic and things like that. And it can still keep you connected with your gaming buddies who are spread across the country or world, right? As happens. But I really feel like Dungeons and Dragons is best, and role-playing games, are best shared face-to-face at the table when you can socialize, you can connect with other people. There's a whole lot outside of the gameplay that I think is beneficial to especially busy folks in the middle period of their life. I think that's especially important. If you're a parent, if you're a husband or wife, those are all commitments and responsibilities. But to have some time carved out just for you to socialize with your peers, your friends, and have that sort of time where you get to let go of all those responsibilities and forget about the real world, recharge those batteries, laugh, and then during the breaks, share important things with one another, right? And get that reassurance and that bonding as a human being that we need. So I think that face-to-face gameplay is very important. And I'd like to make sure that we continue having gatherings, people continue together and focus on that and not just shift to AI Dungeon Master DMs and screens.
You get that social high as well when you're sitting there with your friends, as opposed to,
100%,
this is a great interaction with you, obviously.
Of course.
But I get a social high when I'm sitting here with my friends, having fun, and you can have that side conversation while the DM's explaining something. You make that, immature fart joke or whatever in between things.
And everybody does. I've played with lots of people. Those jokes are universal.
Yep. Stinking cloud's a thing for a reason.
Or somebody says something that can be taken as a double meaning, and he got me on the other end of the table because he's running it now, and I'm grinning to myself because I have a 10-year-old in my head that just,
Yeah.
Hey, like I said, even at 55, I get to be a kid again when I'm playing. I get to let go of all those responsibilities. It gets to be fun. We all need to rejuvenate. We all need play. We all need that sort of stuff. So it's very healthy to do, and it's great stuff. So yeah, D&D, role-playing games, amazing stuff. Great way to connect with people, form important friendships, and at last, I still talk to the guys that I played D&D with when I was 19 in the Army.
That's
Some of
awesome.
them still come to GaryCon, right?
There we
I
go.
hadn't seen a lot of them. I hadn't seen some of them for like 20 years. But they
Dang.
showed up and we're still buddies. I mean,
That's
still,
awesome.
yeah.
Man.
And I've met a lot of people in the military who I'm no longer, close to. And if I saw them, I probably wouldn't have as much, instant connection with. So there is a really strong bond that you form around the gaming table and sharing those pretend scenarios with, right?
Yeah.
Because your brain doesn't really know the difference between being in your character's in a dangerous situation and your friend playing another character through an imaginary spell that saved your character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, to our brain, it's not. You take away all those things. When we describe it, it's like, do you remember when we were playing and we faced that black dragon and you threw disintegrate? Oh man, that was awesome. I can't believe you killed that dragon right before he was about to breathe that acid out of me and I was going to be toast. I had like 4 hit points left. Right? That's how you tell the story. You don't say, remember I was playing this character and you were playing that character? No.
No, it's you.
No,
It's
for
you.
our podcast,
These stories are real.
Our podcast is the newest player at the table, cast Dimension Door underneath the villain, and he fell right in because he failed to save to catch himself.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he shut the door.
So right. So these are the fun stories you have, and then you get to share them for years and years to come. And, and all that to say this, when you're having real life struggles, you can call that person who's in your adventuring party and you can share those real life struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to help you navigate through that situation too, right? And I think there's just a lot of value in that because a lot of people feel alone and they feel like they don't fit in. They feel like, I'm facing all this. Hopefully that's not true. There's people out there, but if it is, if you reconnect with people, play some games, get out there, connect with folks. We're all human beings. We all need those same things, and it's cool. And so I love that ability. And I've always had a diverse group of friends through gaming because they come from all sorts of backgrounds, right? It's another thing that I think is very useful. Guess what? We don't have to see eye to eye on what kind of meals, what kind of cuisine we like, what kind of politics you like, all that sort of whatever it is you like, sci-fi, whatever. Who cares? You're a Star Trek over Star Wars. Who cares? We can put all that aside. We can sit at the gaming table and have a good time, and that brings people together, and you learn a lot about the world and the people in the world by sharing those experiences with people you might not interact with otherwise.
Yeah.
I've heard multiple stories of your brother being that way when he was alive, of just these stories of like, even when they weren't gaming together, he'd call up people and just see how they were doing or checking in on them. Or for instance, like when Tim passed, I messaged Jim Wampa because he had just been on my show and because I knew they were best friends.
Yeah, they're
like,
very
hey,
close.
And I go, I lost my best friend when I was in my early 20s, so I understood kind of what he was going through and all that. And I told him, if I know we don't know each other personally well, but if you need to talk to some random friend void in the internet that you don't want to tell that, consider me to be that void.
Yeah. And that's good to have. Everybody needs to know that someone cares, right? Reach out and say hi to a friend. That's, again, military community, a lot of suicides, a lot of people, when they come out of the military, they feel forgotten about it. They don't have that same structured network. And so, a lot of people can fall into some traps that way. So just, encourage you, reach out, talk to a friend, message somebody, and to see how they're doing. And I think that applies there. If there's a buddy, friend you haven't seen in a little while and you're wondering how they are, just reach out and say, hey, I was thinking about you. How you doing? We should reconnect sometime, right? You don't know the good you might be doing just with that simple gesture. So
just gotta do a buddy check.
Yeah, and just being a considerate person to others. It doesn't really cost us anything, and you may do a lot more good than you realize. So, all great skills that we learn through being gamers and socializing. And another thing I'm very proud of is the gaming community at GaryCon. We have a charity auction every year. And for the last 2 years, we've done it for Children's Wisconsin Foundation, which is funds Milwaukee Children's Hospital as part of the Extra Life Network. And last year, in 3 hours, we raised over $92,000 for Children's Wisconsin. So
Wow.
that was
That's
record
great.
breaker.
Holy
Obviously,
cow.
I don't know
That's
if we'll be
awesome.
able to do that again this year. So, but I'm hoping we'll be able to continue that on. And it's incredibly generous people. I mean, we had 3,200, 3,400 people at the convention. A small slice of that was was at the auction, right?
Yeah.
And that's an incredible amount. We raised like more than twice what the Gen Con charity auction raised, and they are
Really?
20 times larger than us.
Yes,
Yeah.
they're huge.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
my
it's
first
just-
gaming convention was Gen Con in 06. And
Okay.
for it being my first gaming convention, I was overwhelmed. So now going to GaryCon, where there's just under 4,000, I'm looking forward to a completely different experience, a little bit more personable, to where I could see people every day and go, hey, I remember talking to you, instead of you're now just lost in that crowd.
Yeah. I think somebody's like, hey, I'm coming to GaryCon for the first time. I just have a silver badge. Do you think I can talk to, I don't know, Troy Denning or Ed Stark or Ed Greenwood or one of these guys, I guess? And people were like, yeah, absolutely. Just go up and say hi. You'll see them in the bar or walking around or whatever. And just, yes, they want to talk to you. And yes, it's cool. Just be, use normal social.
Yeah. Keith Baker, I'm coming for you.
Keith is super nice. Keith is a great guy. I got to know Keith doing I was with Six Sides of Gaming, Tommy Gofton, and I'm just losing the name of what we call it. But anyway, I was playing Melf. Ed was playing Elminster. Keith is playing Merrick's. And then
just dropping some names here. Holy cow.
Yeah, well, and we go on, we stream these little adventures. We go up to Canada to Tommy Gofton's place, and we'd record like 3 or 4 days of just record all day these sessions, and he chops them up and puts them out into the world. And it's great. He said, basically, man, you guys all have cool iconic characters. Let's go on some adventures and stream them. I was like, all right, yeah, sure. And I didn't know Ed very well at that point, but it was great to connect with Ed, and just a super nice guy. He comes to GaryCon. Keith obviously comes to GaryCon as well. Lisa won't be there this year. She's going on a cruise, I think, with
geez.
yeah, I think she's going on a cruise with her fiance or something like that. So I was like, she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting this GaryCon. I was like, please, you've been coming for many years, and you've been such a great, enjoy this, lovely. We'll have you back next year, no problem. Lisa.
Yeah, there you go.
He's a really sweet person too, a great, gamers are good people. That's the bottom line. Is there a jerk here and there? Sure. Okay, yeah, fine. But the vast majority of gamers are really, really good, giving, kind people, and so I'm proud of to be a gamer and to call myself a gamer.
Mm-hmm.
I think with that, though, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. That's a good capstone, and I thank you for coming on and sharing all your stories.
To stop yakking.
Yeah, no, it's an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. It's been great.
I mean, that's a capstone of being a Midwestern gamers. We like to talk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I guess since we're in the Midwest, we better end this the proper way.
Well, time to hit the trail.
Yeah. Hey, tabletop gamers. Thank you for watching this episode of the Hermit's Homebrew. We come out with new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with your friends as we continue to level up and grow.